Hey guys, Ryan here, and oh boy, I just got done watching the Daytona Busch Clash from the Daytona Road Course, and I kind of expected what we got. So yeah, let's just get right into it. This is going to be I already know it's going to be a controversial video because my one buddy I've talked to already about this race, he and I don't even agree, and I thought that he was going to. So I guess let's just get into unpacking the finish, because I think the first thing we need to do when analyzing a race like this is we have to get the finish out of the way, because let me just put it this way, a good finish does not make up for a terrible race. I mean, that's just the way it is. A bad finish does not ruin a good race, and a good finish does not make up for a terrible race. The finish tonight, fantastic. You had two of the youngest drivers in the series. You had two of the young guns in the series. You had Ryan Blaney. You had Chase Elliott going into the final corner, the final chicane, and they made contact. One coming across the other, and into the wall. Blaney, Elliott slows, and Kyle Busch is able to come around both of them and on to victory lane. Obviously, I think that's a big positive for any Kyle Busch fans, any Blaney and Elliott fans, or even just Kyle Busch haters. Certainly didn't like the fact of how the finish ended, but they loved the fact that the finish happened, regardless of whether you're a Blaney fan, a Kyle Busch fan, a Blaney fan, an Elliott fan. I actually quite like all three drivers in the scenario. It's like Blaney being my favorite Penske driver, Elliott probably being my second favorite of the HMS guys. I like a lot of the drivers involved in this finish, but yeah, I mean, it was just kind of one of them racing deals. Actually, I'm gonna try and put them up side by side. The Charlotte Roval finish that gave Blaney the win in the inaugural event, and tonight's Daytona Road Course final crash and win for Kyle Busch, and just to see the similarities. But yeah, so I'm gonna try and put that up on screen for you guys. But yeah, it was very similar, and unlike that event, I feel like this event really was, I mean, literally looking at it, you had a caution at lap 8, a caution at lap 16, and 2 more yellows before the finish on lap 35. That's an average of about 8.5 laps a run, and this is kind of the thing I've always said about, I've said it about road racing, I've said it about some short track racing. It's actually one of the reasons I really like Richmond. The Richmond races, is that some of the best racing involves very few, if any, yellow flags. And I'll be honest, that's definitely not the most popular opinion in a lot of people's books. I mean, look at the fact that NASCAR has mandatory yellows in their races now. It certainly isn't a popular opinion, and I don't necessarily think it's necessary for every race to go caution-free or very low cautions. But when you have a situation like this where you have a 35-lap race and 4 yellows, one of which was mandatory, and one of which was because they literally just didn't know how to drive the track. I mean, they needed some night practice at Daytona. I mean, I get it. You don't want to run too much practice in qualifying this year. But you needed night practice for this Daytona race to actually turn out good. And they didn't. And we ended up with what we got, which was a mess of a race. And really, last year I found it more entertaining because at least once we got to the mess, it was probably a good 15 to 20 laps of chaos because of all the overtimes. In this case, we had about, I think, 3 or 4 laps of chaos, and the rest was fairly clean. I mean, what was the last yellow was like with 6 to go. So we ended up going back green with about 4 to go, and then you go 4 laps, and it was really just Elliott versus Blaney, and the only reason the finish was really good was because Blaney had a fast enough car to run down Elliott, which I think me and many other people thought wouldn't be possible or wasn't going to happen. Ultimately, it happened, and we got what we got, but yeah. Now let's go on to some of the other things that happened, because I think we've talked about the finish enough. So, outside of the finish of the race, we had a situation where you had Cole Custer ended up missing the and ultimately hard to really tell if he finished the race. I don't think so, but the timing and scoring says he did run to the finish of the race, even though he was a few laps down. So hard to really tell what actually happened there. I don't know what caught fire. It seems like the brakes maybe caught fire. And this was probably one of the funniest moments I've seen of TV in a while. Literally, moments before disaster. As Truex is going through the bus stop, they cut away on the exit of the bus stop to talk about Keselowski, DeBenedetto, and someone racing for position. And you have Truex about a tenth of a second later, hard into the outside wall, ultimately retiring him from the race, and his night was over. So, yeah, that was just a heavy dose of irony there, and that brought out another one of those yellow flags. Ultimately, though, a lot of the discussion that needs to be had here is, what do you do to fix the Clash? Because this has been a problem with the Clash. I mean, previous years it had been highlighted in the freight train racing around the top. At least in this case with parade-style racing, which is, whether people want to call it that or not, was roughly what we saw throughout most of the field. Yes, you could point out moments where, yeah, they were 2 and 3 wide, but for the most part, it was very orderly, but it was more interesting because it was around a not circle. Yes, true. But does it make up for the fact that we still probably need to fix it? And I think the simplest fix is, you had an okay format here. Like, in my opinion, I say you get rid of the manual caution, or maybe not. Maybe make it a 30-lap race, have a halftime break at 15 laps in, and run it on the oval. That would be a good fix for me. I would even say you don't even need that. Run the 35-ish laps. Don't require make sure it's not too much to where you require a pit stop. And ultimately, I think that fixes your main problem with the Clash. I mean, because right now, the reason it's being used is that you have enough laps to where you can run out a full fuel run, or you can at least test to see where you can run hard. Now, on the road course, it's a little different because you aren't really going to be able to do too much for fuel mileage numbers. You still could have, had we not gotten so many yellows. But I think the guys knew that they weren't really going to get enough green flag racing with the high rate of yellows, at least early on, and the amount of people kicking dirt onto the track. And I think a lot of people used it as essentially testing to see, hey, when going into this corner, how hard can I go? I mean, we saw Kurt Busch go off a couple of times. Harvick went off like 3 or 4 times. Just trying to test the limits, see where they can push hard, where they have to maybe dial it back for the Daytona road course race here in a few weeks. I think the Daytona road course will be a little cleaner because I think they've gotten some practice in now. So I would definitely look at that being a better race. Not to mention it's also almost double the length. So definitely a good, that'll be one I'm looking forward to. But the Clash, it's like they had a good thing going. 20-lap race on the oval. Great one. Basically just don't give them the laps to try much and make it at least something where it's a silly race where they're just throwing it all out the window trying to go for a win. That seems like a fine solution to this. But instead, they've decided to go and make it something that isn't great. And then they went and when they added the road course element, it's like, road course racing, at least currently in NASCAR, is not the, especially on short runs, is not premier racing. Now, with the next gen car, I definitely think that is very likely that it could change. Will it? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But with this current Gen 6 car, it is not designed for road courses. It is designed for almost entirely ovals. Like back when the Gen 6 was being developed, there were 2 road courses. Sonoma, Watkins Glen. And Sonoma was already kind of on the boring side. It wasn't really until 2016 when it finally had a majorly iconic moment outside of the, what was it, 98 with the black flag finish over, I think it was, who was it? It was one of the Tide drivers, I think, Ricky Rudd, roughing up Davey Allison in the final corner coming to the white flag. But yeah, so I think that was really just kind of a thing with road racing and this current car, is it really isn't designed for it. But they do manage to put on great long-run races. I mean, that's why Watkins Glen has been so fun the last couple of years. In particular, when Chase Elliott won it for his first time, and when Truex won it back in 2018, I believe it was. Whatever the year before Elliott won it. No, it was 2017. Yeah, it was 2017, 2018 were the back-to-back races where it was really good at Watkins Glen. You had the final yellow right at the edge of a fuel window, and ultimately, you never really knew. Could Truex hold him off? We didn't know until the checkered flag flew. And he ultimately ran out of gas there. Same thing with Chase Elliott. Same thing with Austin Cindric at Watkins Glen in the Xfinity Series race that year. So, definitely, I'm not hating on road course racing. I do like the idea of having some variety in the tracks. I actually quite like road course racing. But it is not a good short race, exciting start to a season. I think, to be honest, going to something else, like going to some short track in Florida, like some local-ish level short track that might be able to host a NASCAR crowd, like maybe you look at Pensacola Speedway, or Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola. Or maybe some slightly larger venue that has capacity to hold a NASCAR crowd. Or even, I don't know how many fans were allowed in tonight. Because especially for during COVID times, I mean, seems like that would be an opportunity to go put them on a bigger-ish short track in the South and let them go short track racing. I mean, because I think that would be the best way to do it. Just add a new track to the schedule that they haven't really run on all that much, and make it something that they aren't going to see something like it most of the season. Like, maybe, in terms of iRacing tracks, I'd probably go to USA, for, like, an iRacing sense. I don't know, if that track would be necessarily great, because I don't know if it's because I see dirt version and pavement version on there, so I don't know if that would be a great venue in real life for them to do, but something like that, just to try and differentiate it from the Daytona Speedway. Though I think, again, if you want to keep it at Daytona, just run it on the oval, shorten the laps to where they can't really test fuel mileage running for the 500, and you've fixed the Clash. Likely, though, none of my advice is going to get taken, and we're going to have it on the road course again next year, and maybe it'll be a little better because they'll have more experience, so they won't get the track completely coated in dirt on lap 4, and we won't need a yellow by lap 8 because of, too much dirt on the track. But yeah, so hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this race, because I know I certainly did. I believe this race review will be coming out in the morning-ish time. It'll probably come out around noon tomorrow. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the race last night. I'll be yeah, I'll probably put out, I'll probably put it out around noon, but yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the season opening Clash. I know I'm looking forward to the 500 here next week. Of of course, Daytona duels. I will be doing a Let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see. I could either do what I did last year, which was I think I did a live stream in between the two duel races. So I could do that again. Like, I could do some kind of live stream in between the two duels, or I could just do a standard race review talking about both at the end of the night. But then we get ready for the Daytona 500. We have an official entry list, 44 cars. A little down from what I was expecting, but we kind of expected that it might be down. So, hopefully you guys did enjoy, though, and I will see you guys in the next video, live stream, or whatever you guys decide to do with the rest of your night. Have a great night, everybody. Goodbye!